Welcome to the Brothers Sinatra podcast, the only podcast featuring two swinging brothers talking about One Piece. I'm Jack Sinatra.
And I'm Tyler Sinatra.
And we're the Brothers Sinatra. I hate being poor. I hate tangerines. What do I have to do? Eat my own leg? At least we have these tasty 808 drum beats when I'm hanging with the fish boys. Today, we talk live-action One Piece, Part 2, Tyler.
Oh, I can't wait, Jackie, even with that sort of backhanded, unique intro.
I wasn't backhanded at all.
It seemed backhanded.
Part of it was exactly verbatim, basically, what someone says, and then the other was just, an overall observation for hanging with the fishmen. Okay, I'm sorry I called them fish boys. I do apologize for that. But,
the fishmen.
We got to get started somehow, and there's no better way to get started than talking about the socials. They're really popping off, Tyler.
Oh, we're popping. Oh, we're so popping. People love our opinions about One Piece for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I'm more of a Zoro guy. You're more of a Sanji guy. You've been getting a lot of grief for that.
It's true.
You've been getting a lot of grief for being a Sanji guy.
It's expected. It's expected because... sometimes there's a character that's designed to be cool. And then sometimes there's a character that's designed to be an up-and-comer and designed to, become one of the wings of the Pirate King. And then people just don't respect him. And then it seems funny that your really cool character spends an inordinate amount of time lifting weights and practicing and doing all these meditations and drinking and all this stuff, while this other guy isn't training. He's cooking for your whole crew and providing for everybody, and yet they're still seemingly even.
Yeah. It's like
how
a Messi Ronaldo situation, okay?
Yeah, it's like,
so funny
is it
that
natural
people, talent, or is it, the hard work and effort part of it? And you can get a way less verbose version of that one on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, okay?
Yeah.
So go ahead and follow along. Follow the pod on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, all right?
Folks, Jackie doesn't know about Germa 66, so we're not even going to talk about it,
Listen,
okay?
We'll talk about my experience.
I'm also getting a lot of flack in the comments for not mentioning things that haven't been divulged in the story yet. And I just want to make it very, very clear to everybody.
They're taking it to you.
I know what hockey is. I know when my brother asks about certain questions about the show, and he says, "Oh, why does this happen? Well, how did he hear this? How did people hear him?" I could give the answer that in my heart I want to give. I could give that answer. Do I want to ruin another person's viewing experience of the show? That's not what it's about, folks. It's not about me spoiling the entire series forever.
That's not what it's about.
Oh, by the way, last episode, I shouted out a creator. It's a single creator with 2 channels, but I did mispronounce his second channel's name. I said Dawn Dusk Channel, and I said Lupin Art. That's not what it's Luna Pian Art. That like moon. Yeah, Luna.
So it's less wolfy, more moony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Less wolf, more moon. But the werewolf thing sort of you could see where my head was at.
It all gets jumbled together. But listen, if you want more information about anything that we're saying or doing, go to veryentertaining.biz. It's going to have buttons you can press to get to everything. Yeah. I'm going to, flesh it out, put some of our upcoming shows on there. It looks dramatically pretty empty, but I promise you there is stuff coming. I just got to put it on there, okay?
We haven't updated the website yet. He's got to update the website, but Uncle Enzo is making all of our marketing material.
So it's like he takes a long time to approve each post,
and he doesn't approve them all the time, and then we're just sitting on our hands about it.
So let's get into it, Tyler. 2 brothers, One Piece. That's what we're here to do, and let's give the folks at home a quick reminder of our One Piece backgrounds. We've already kind of gotten into it. I'll go first.
Kinda.
I don't really know anything. Okay, I've seen these 8 episodes now. So the first episode, if you go back and listen to that, I had only seen those 4 episodes. Now I've seen the other 4 live-action episodes. I don't know anything about the anime. I don't know anything about what's to come. I don't know anything about these character arcs. I just know about these 8 Netflix live-action episodes that I saw, and that is my baseline. And my brother, Tyler, promised me that he wasn't going to spoil the rest of it for me. So don't get frustrated at my brother. That's my job.
Yeah.
All right?
I have way too. I see the difference between me and my brother Jackie here is he has a limited knowledge, and I have way too much. It's like
the man who knows too much.
Right. The man with the burn scar, Jackie. Stop making me think of things about the show.
Listen, when you got like 3 million episodes, you're bound to hit a reference landmine every now and then. It's just like people in that video thought we were referencing the Dance of Italy. Tyler, I've never heard of the Dance of Italy. I've never even heard of this
Markiplier.
We were just going,
Markiplier, Five Nights at
Freddy's.
Freddy's.
They didn't invent going whoa and moving around all wiggly like. But I digress.
Markiplier guy. Who's this guy? Who is he?
I just know he made some like blood movie about a video game.
It's Iron Lung. Yeah. Well, yeah, and he sort of like the other. I don't know if this is like technically where he gained fame, but I do know that he like helped the Five Nights at Freddy franchise. Like he was one of the YouTubers who sort of like started playing the first game and cracking the code on like. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with the Five Nights at Freddy's game, but he was sort of explaining to the viewers how to actually win. Oh, what?
5 Nights of the Round Table at Freddy's.
Oh, that would be
5 actual nights going to Freddy's, try to save the day, you know, making sure that the little girl and the brother aren't going to get, you know, taken by the big animatronics.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that'd be fun if we did like a little Monty Python kind of thing.
Sure.
Where at the end,
it's like they rip off one of their arms, and then it's like he doesn't really react too much, and then they just keep taking his limbs off.
It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fun. We could do it.
All right, let's get into some Sinatra stats, Tyler. We're talking about One Piece episodes 5 through 8 and the series at large. So that's really the scope of what we're talking about. The live action One Piece, season 1, and conversations surrounding it. You can feel free to dip into, you know, what was happening in the anime that reflects the story that we've seen here. That's fine. That's not going to offend me. All right. We went through a lot of this on the first episode, so we're going to take a cursory glance at some of this stuff again. Again, this is, you know, a fantasy adventure, very nice, based on the anime, based on the manga. It's got a rating of TV-14. Unfortunately, we already saw the nudity. It was just Helmeppo's butt cheeks, folks. No more nudity.
They were great cheeks.
All right?
They were great cheeks, folks.
There's a little bit of smoking, a little bit of alcohol. There's a little bit of language. There's a little bit of violence, like very minimal gore. It's more like, you know, traces of blood and whatnot. Really not too much gore at all. And you got some intense scenes and a little bit more self-harm. This one was maybe less hilarious than young Luffy stabbing himself in the eye.
Yeah, definitely not hilarious. I would not consider it hilarious.
Not nearly as funny as the kid, you know, trying to stab himself in the eye and missing.
No.
All right. So we got the showrunners Matt Owens and Stephen Maeda. And again, we're starring Iñaki Godoy as Monkey D. Luffy, Emily Rudd as Nami. We got Maken Yu as Roronoa Zoro. Man. That is a tough one,
Roronoa Zoro, Jackie, yeah.
You're like eliding the R. Is that how you say it? You don't say
Roronoa.
You're saying Roronoa. I'm seeing Roronoa.
I understand. Roronoa. That's how...
Roronoa Zoro.
Yeah.
Jacob Gibson as Usopp. Vincent
Regan. And if you want to bother a bunch of the... If you want to bother more of the internet people, we can call him Zolo.
Oh, I like that.
With an L.
Yeah. I like Zolo.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's close to Zoloft. You know?
Yeah.
Vincent Regan as Garp. We got Jeff Ward returning as, you know, pieces of Buggy the Clown. Morgan Davis as Kobe. Taz Skylar, finally, as Sanji. So that is our starring cast. Yeah, so he kind of rounds out that main cast. And then I just want to mention a couple of the featuring actors that are kind of new to the mix here. So we got Rory Acton Burnell as Nezumi, who I'm going to call Mouse Guy. All right? So he's the mouse guy.
Mouse guy, yeah, mouse captain.
Grant Ross as Genzo, and I have a lot to say about him, but he's kind of the sheriff of Cocoa Village. We got Kiyoma Umeala as Nojiko, Nami's sister, adoptive sister of sorts.
Sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Tyler, I fell asleep during that episode and woke up when they were saying they were sisters. I was like, huh. But then I went back and I understood better.
Yeah.
And then let's see. You got Stephen John Ward as Dracul Mihawk. Am I saying that correctly, Tyler?
Dracul, yeah, Dracul, and
right.
Mihawk.
Like molecule. Yeah. Craig Fabras.
Or like Dracula.
Sure. And it's like a Hercule Poirot kind of thing with the first name. It's a weird one for English speakers. It's kind of Frenchy. Craig Fabras as Chef Zeph. All right? Wonderful Chef Zeph. And then I do also have to shout out, where is he? Mr. McKinley Belcher III is Arlong, who was introduced in the first package of episodes, but obviously becomes kind of the big bad in episodes 5 through 8. So we're on Netflix. We're watching this stuff, the live action. We got the next season of live action coming soon, and it's been about 2.5 full years since this first batch of episodes came on Netflix. So we're hoping for a little bit more of a frequent rhythm out of getting this stuff on Netflix in the future, Tyler.
Oh, they're going to be in a more frequent rhythm, Jackie.
It's got to be.
It's true. And a little bit of a behind-the-scenes secret. They did film a few. They had a feeling they were going to get bought for a new season, and they did film some of the second season along with the first season. So some of what's known as the Logetown arc was already filmed during the first season. Interesting little tidbit.
There you go. The Logetown arc. And I believe they're already wrapped on season 3 filming, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct,
so they're cranking it out, Tyler. Really yanking and cranking it.
I'm hoping for at least 6 seasons. I know that they projected like 12 to cover the...
Yeah.
But
6 would be a win. Anything else is gravy.
6 would be a win, folks. I got to tell you, adapting anything into live action, it takes a lot of time. The fact that the anime is going on for so long, the manga is still going on. If we get 6 seasons, honestly, if we get 4, that's a blessing. And to get 6 would be incredible. And so far, to be honest, I don't want to give too much away, but while I do like the anime and the manga more, I think the live action, while a lot of people on the internet say it's trash, I think it is serviceable for somebody who's never seen the show.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, you try to do it, okay?
Yeah,
what would you do better?
What are you going to do?
There's a lot of moving parts. You have to involve actual people. You can't just draw it, folks. You got to get humans in a room, on a stage, doing stuff, all right?
It's hard enough to get 2 brothers together to do a podcast every week.
Absolutely. We're pulling our hair out just trying to get on this thing, work the OBS, record the right things, put it together, give it to Uncle Enzo, make sure he polishes
realizing
it up
that
nice,
if you add an extra source on top of the video capture source, that sometimes there's a weird hiss on the microphone, and then you have to start over.
All right, they don't teach you about sources when you're doing this stuff. No one talks about
open
sources.
Source material.
And that reminds me, we got to do a spoiler alert because we're about to get into what happens in episodes 5 through 8 of the first season of live action One Piece. This is spoiler alert. Spoilers are coming, all right?
They're coming. Spoiler.
They're coming thick and fast, Tyler, the spoilers.
Spoiler plate. Wait, no.
Yeah, you've been in too many contracts, Tyler.
We should edit so we have like a...
Yeah, let's add that to the pile. Let's
plate.
Let's definitely...
Hey, call Enzo. Make sure he gets that approved.
I'll have Enzo, I'll have Enzo just add some random, pick a few words that we say. Just pop those out. Just really pop them out on the screen, Just
pop them onto the screen.
All right.
Just pop them on there.
All right, Uncle Enzo, pop out Sinatra Summary. Okay, Sinatra Summary is coming now. Let's get to it. So the first episode, Eat at Barati. Now I got a lot to say about the pronunciation of this restaurant. All right, we'll save that.
Barati,
let's just shelf it.
Jackie.
We're gonna save it, Tyler. In a flashback, Grandpa Garp scolds Luffy's pirate ambitions, but seems amused in the present when Luffy evades Garp's Marines. The Straw Hats escape through a thick mist to the restaurant Barati, where they meet strained father-son analog Chef Zeph and sous chef/waiter Sanji. Back with the Marines, Garp hires Dracul Mihawk, a state-sanctioned pirate known as the world's greatest swordsman, to capture Luffy. While Nami plans to abandon the crew and take the map to the Grand Line, Mihawk shows up, and his biggest fan, Zoro, challenges him to a duel. Zoro gets absolutely dog-walked and watches his two swords shatter while getting seriously wounded in the process. In a move akin to Bill letting the bride survive the church massacre, Mihawk lets Zoro and Luffy go. Zoro pledges to never lose again before getting very sleepy. Episode, 6. Second episode we're doing, The Chef and the Chore Boy. At Bharati, a more sympathetic Zeph helps to treat the wounded Zoro. Coloring in his relationship with the old chef, Sanji flashes back to when a younger him and Zeph were marooned on a small rock island, where Zeph ate his own leg while giving Sanji the actual food. Sanji reveals his lifelong dream of finding the all blue, which apparently has rare ingredients to make fancy food. Back with the Marines, Kobe learns of Garp and Luffy's relationship, while belligerent fishman pirate captain Arlong arrives at Bharati with Buggy's head looking for the map. Nami betrays the crew, giving Arlong the map, and reveals that she was with him all along. In a passive murder attempt, Arlong throws Luffy into the sea and leaves with Nami, but he's immediately reduced by a surprisingly fit Sanji. That's supposed to say rescued, Tyler. All right, that's an autocorrect failure.
Autocorrect failure.
But he was reduced in the rescue because he couldn't save himself, all right? Luffy feels like a failure until Zoro wakes up and pledges to be his first mate. With optimism returning, Sanji joins the crew as a cook, and a newly confident Luffy decides to follow after Nami, now in possession of Buggy's head, to help them track Arlong and Nami on their journey. Okay, the next episode, The Girl with the Sawfish Tattoo. With Buggy's help, the Straw Hats roll up to Konomi Island, where Nami's hometown, Cocoa Village, is under Arlong's control. Proceeding to the Tangerine Orchards, they meet Nojiko, Nami's adopted older sister, who triggers a flashback to when Arlong killed their adopted mom. Meanwhile, at Bharati, a hungry Garp questions Zeph about Luffy. In Cocoa Village, Nami explains to her sister that she has a deal with Arlong to buy Cocoa Village's freedom, but Arlong betrays her and sends Marine Captain and Mouseman Nezumi to take Nami's money. Nami has a mentee bee and stabs her tattooed arm in anger. But Luffy swoops in and they finally reconcile. The Straw Hats are ready to rumble, but unfortunately the fishmen are actively raiding Cocoa Village. And finally, the worst in the East. The morning after, the Straw Hats assault Arlong Park, each displaying their unique combat skills, and Buggy flees after finding his body. After a standoff with Arlong, Luffy destroys his tower, apparently crushing Arlong and freeing Cocoa Village in the process. As the Marines finally catch up, Mouseman Nezumi calls on Garp to arrest the Straw Hats, but Kobe and Helmeppo refuse, pleading their innocence. In any case, Garp houses Luffy in a brief duel, but it's all good because he was just testing Luffy's Gold Roger-like resolve, folks. A butthurt Mouseman Nezumi makes a wanted poster for Luffy, to the young pirate's delight. On some beach somewhere, a hungover Shanks and his crew celebrate Luffy's new status with Mihawk for some reason, while Buggy and Alvida tease Season 2 narratives. Garp is impressed with Kobe and Helmeppo's shirking of authority and decides to train them personally. As the Straw Hats head to the Grand Line, a guy with 2 cigars burns Luffy's bounty poster. Dun, dun, dun!
Oh, yeah, that described what happened, Jackie. That sure did. You took your time. You did.
Well,
That's
I
good.
have to take my time because there's a lot of tongue twisters in all of these words here.
Yeah, Roranoa, and then you got Baratier, you know.
Oof, we'll talk about it.
Anyway, here's the real summary, folks. Here's the one that you really want to listen to. All right? The Straw Hat crew continues its journey, gaining a new crew member, saving another, and ultimately securing themselves as the dominant crew in the East Blue. Maybe a crew worthy to best the Grand Line and find the One Piece.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. But we don't know yet. We don't know.
We don't
Could
know.
be.
And I just would have so many questions if I heard that. Who is this new crew member? Who did they best to become, such a crew? And that's where I go to the more detailed summary where a lot of that is answered.
No, you don't want to give it away. Don't give it away,
That's the
Jackie.
point. It's a summary, Tyler. It's not a teaser.
Yeah, but no, Jackie, that summarizes exactly what happened, what I said. It did. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Let's get to these categories because we got a lot of points to break down, and we don't want to be here for 2 hours again. Tyler, I can't even say your name. I'm so mad.
Tower of Hours of Tyler. Tower Tyler out.
Tyler. Tyler. Let's get to nothing but the best.
Skylar.
That's what was in my mind. I was thinking about Taz Skylar. Tyler.
That's what I was thinking about.
Leave it in. Uncle Enzo, don't edit that out.
Don't edit that out.
The people need to hear everything.
Please. Let them hear it all.
Let's go to nothing but the best. These are the 5 best parts, and you can cheat a little bit. It can be kind of overarching, things. That's kind of what I tend to do. You can choose scenes. I don't really care. Who cares, Tyler?
Who cares?
All right, let's start with number 5. We're going to start with 5, and I want you to go first.
Yeah. My number 5 is what they call the cast-off ceremony. They're all putting their feet on the barrel at the end. They're saying what, not necessarily their dreams.
This is very on brand for you as the Quentin Tarantino of the pod.
Yeah. They're telling you all of their goals as a crew right before we're sort of like I don't want to say finishing up. It is towards the end of the last episode before some of the teasers material, but it's sort of showing where we're going to be going next season and what everybody's goals are. It brings back in the We Are, which is the song that the first arc season of the anime uses.
It's a little bit of fan service, Tyler.
It's fan service. It's fan service, folks, and that's why I put it at 5, because it doesn't deserve a 1, but boy, is that an important scene for later.
Sure. I do have, it's not a demerit, but it's just a note. Everybody's makes a lot of sense, so just to paint the picture, they're putting their foot on and they're kind of flashing back to the younger version of them because they all have these flashbacks where you got the younger, child actors who we could...
Are you going to mention Usopp on this?
I absolutely am. His was kind of a cop-out, Tyler.
Well, see, this is one of those things that is different in the anime. He says, Usopp is known as, the liar of the group, the storyteller, whatever. And not to give too much away, but he's one of those guys that is a trope in storytelling that when he lies, sometimes the lies become true later. So at one point early on, he says, I am a great warrior of the sea already. So when he first meets Luffy, which is not in the live action, there's confrontations between them where he thinks that they're pirates, rightfully, and he's trying to protect Syrup Village, and he says he's a captain, he says he's a great warrior of the sea, he says he has thousands of men, I think he says 10,000. And there are all these things that he's saying that are lies, but then you come to find out that he is the liar, he's the one who spins tales.
He's the boy who cried wolf, he fakes it till he makes it.
But one of the things that he says is great warrior of the sea, because
that
he
came
knows
out
that
of nowhere in the live action.
Yeah, it's a very
and you can tell that the actor was aware of the fact that it comes out of nowhere because he flashes back to his mom on her deathbed, and then he's like, "I want to be a brave warrior of the sea." It's like, okay. Everyone else was like, "I want to be the world's greatest swordman. I want to find the all blue." It's like all of that was kind of mentioned verbatim, so that was just the one that threw me.
And, my memory fails me on whether he actually said Great Warrior of the Sea he does eventually say it, but later on especially, but there too. But everything he says up until that point implies that that's what his goal is. He wants to be like his dad.
That's the thing that's what I thought he should have said was like, I want to find my dad.
But but he doesn't want to find his dad. That's not what he wants to measure up to his father. He wants to, because even though his father left him, he still. The idea of pirates is different in this world. The fact that his dad left to become a pirate, and I think we'll see this later on in the anime or in the live action, because you see Zeph at the end post Luffy's wanted poster. There are groups of people that are impressed when you become a pirate. It's not necessarily a mark that's like a black mark against you or something. Yeah. Some people cherish the pirates and they are protected by certain captains. Pirates are more like hedge
knights of the sea. They're like,
sort of, yeah.
You could, or like Jedi, I suppose. Not like as extreme and magical, but like,
right.
you know.
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
Sort of, knights.
Samurai,
in a
I
different
guess,
context.
Is a better way to put it. Okay, anything else on the foot barrel scene?
No, I like the ceremony. And the other thing is, the top view of it, there's a couple of things I'm going to mention today that are like direct panels from the manga, and that is one of them. Yeah. So like the top
down. They took it off the page, they put it in the storyboard. It's that shot.
For service, folks, I'm going to go for it every time. I love it.
Yeah, just while we're on
you're
that, 5. And since I'll do my 5 in a second, but while you're talking about, they took it right out of the comic, right out of the anime. The wanted poster. My wife, has been watching this stuff, and she was a little disappointed in the framing of the wanted poster versus how it was in the show.
Okay. Yeah, I mean. Yeah,
but
his original wanted poster.
That, it's hard to recreate because he's all teeth. In the anime, it's like just too many. It's like you can't have that many teeth on the screen in a live action.
I don't even know how you would go about. You would need to do more fisheye lensing and just go right in on the teeth.
That's true. He'd need to go to Turkey. Get turkey teeth for that. Well, you ever heard that, turkey teeth?
Turkey teeth?
Yeah.
Is it because of the plastic surgery craze?
Like, in the United States, it's more typical that you would go to like the Dominican Republic of Mexico or something. Yeah. But like in Europe, it's like, when people come back with the big white teeth, they call it turkey teeth. That's just the thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know that the like cosmetic surgery and stuff is.
They do hairlines as well.
Hairlines a lot, yeah.
All right, my number 5. The overall settings in this batch of episodes, I just really liked. I think they gave us a nice just sense of place. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about Baratier. Okay, we'll get to that later. But the fact of the setting of the restaurant, just hanging around in the restaurant, hanging around in the kitchen, hanging around in the docks outside, the Cocoa Village, Arlong Park, that whole... I think just those 2 particular locations gave us a really nice just setting and scenery. I wasn't actively feeling when we were in a studio or when we were outside in real life. It just felt very cohesive, and it was just a fun time to be in episodes 5, 6, mostly at the restaurant. Episodes 7, 8. Mostly at Cocoa Village in the what's it, Konami or Kokonami? What's it called? The island itself.
Oh, the Konami Islands.
Konami, yeah. So I just thought that was very well done. So that's my number 5. Is just the overall. I think that if I had to choose between episodes 1 through 4 and episodes 5 through 8, just from a setting perspective, I think the back half of the season was better.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny, I have the settings in my number 3 spot, but I have it combined with something else. So we'll talk about it a little more later when we get to the later. 3s.
Go with your number 4.
Number 4, Jackie. People talk about us on the internet. We bicker a lot like these two, and I think that Makenu and Taz Skylar do a perfect Zoro and Sanji chemistry. Their chemistry on screen is wonderful. They're supposed to be sort of this... Sorry to give it away, folks. They're supposed to be this sort of brotherly rival sort of... We're going to protect our crew at whatever cost.
It's like
but we're
frenemies,
still sort of...
little rivalry.
but they play it off so well where they're definitely tossing bobs at one another. We get a moss head in here, which is an iconic nickname that Sanji gives to Zoro. Zoro calls him Cook a lot. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. We get the bobs. We get the back and forth in a fight that we're going to talk about probably later. And you see how they can play off of each other, not just in a negative way, but also later on in a positive way, and have sort of that brotherly kind of support system it's just, the actors are doing such a good job. I can't wait to see what they're going to do, because Sanji isn't in as much of this season. He's going to be in all of the next season. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fights that happen. There's a specific thing I'm very excited for Sanji that happens during the next season with a couple of Baroque Works agents, and it's just going to be fun. I'm excited. Zoro too gets some Baroque Works stuff, but for those in the know, the Mr. 3 Sanji secret agent sort of stuff, a lot of good things, and they get to fight. Oh, it's so fun. I can't wait for the next season.
So I actually had Sanji and Zoro at my number 3 spot, so I had it a little higher.
Hey, there you go, Jackie.
But yes, I think that worked really well, and especially since in episodes 1 through 4, one of the things I talked about last week was there was just a really good chemistry between all of the Straw Hat crew that they had assembled so far. So we're talking Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and then Usopp at the very end. All of them kind of combined. They had a nice collection of personalities. So then I think when you add one more person to that mix, how is that going to go down? And I think it works really well when you add Sanji in for the back half of the season. And all of a sudden, up to that point, Zoro was kind of just off to the side, sleeping in the background, but now he actually has a direct foil, someone with a style that's almost a direct opposite. He's the strong, silent type, and then Sanji is kind of a smoothie, coming in, always trying to chat up the ladies. He is.
He's a smoothie.
You can't deny it, all right?
Can't deny it.
He's blonde hair, blue-eyed.
Oh.
I think he's the tallest actor. I don't know if he's supposed to be the tallest one, because Zoro's supposed to be exceptionally strong. I think that is one thing with the casting. I think they favored his actual swordsmanship skill, the actor, instead of going for someone, that, if we were casting a 1-to-1, I agree, but, you just have to. Sanji was surprisingly fit and physical in a way that, hopefully doesn't overtake Zoro, just from a eyeball standpoint down the line.
I gotta be honest with you. I've seen pictures of them both that they've posted in their workout routines for season 2, and it's gonna be fine. You're not don't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
All right.
McCanu's gonna do fine for himself.
Yeah.
All right. He doesn't.
And I apologize. I probably just murder that guy's name every time I say it.
Me too.
The mononyms are tough, folks. You don't even have a last name to fall back on. I'd love to just call him, Sonny Chiba too, because I can say that. But all right, my number 4, Tyler, is Arlong Park's Fast and Furious villain vibes. I just, it's kind of a trope, and I kind of giggled every time it happens. But
it's family.
Jackie. When those 808 drums, that hip hop type beat starts coming in, that the fishmen are going to start rolling in, and it was a funny texture just to add. And then I like when they're playing cards by the pool. They're just kind of these degenerates. It was just very Fast and Furious coded. To me.
It reminded me a little bit of what was it called? The Rip? No,
the Rip. It was
Rip.
So that Affleck and Damon flick on Netflix where they're just out
funny
hanging
little
out in the
scene
back
where
drinking
they're hanging
beers,
in the
and
back
they're
drinking
doing
beers,
wheelies on the dirt bikes and whatever.
Just a bunch of
donuts.
cops hanging out. Just a bunch of motorcycle gang people hanging out. Just a bunch of fishmen hanging out.
And that's another thing. I don't know if I have this anywhere else. I do have other categories to talk about the fishmen, but I think it's funny that they went with fishmen and not fishmen. Fishmen. You
Oh,
know?
Fishman.
Yeah, Fishman
Yeah.
instead of Fishmen. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
fishman. I'm a
I'm trying to
fishman.
think because so I watch the subtitles generally, so
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with how the
Yeah,
American
like
dubs.
is that something from the dub?
Yeah, I
where
have
that's
no
just how
idea.
they do it. You know, because it
Could be.
seems like they wouldn't care from a original Japanese standpoint. Like, why would they care if it was Fishman or Fishman? So it was clearly a decision someone made at some point.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
The American like syllables and emphasis doesn't really matter
Yeah.
in the way that it would in other languages. So I
Yeah.
don't know what the
One
what
interesting thing, just while we're talking about the dub and whatnot, were you aware that the Japanese dub of the live action uses most of the actual
yes.
voice
yeah,
cast?
the original cast. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
I've
like all
watched
but
it with
one.
their
It was like
voices,
it's
yeah.
like everyone but one of them for some reason. I don't remember which one
think-
was different, but
I
it
think
was
it
one
might
of
have
them.
been because of age. There are a few. I mean, recently that have also like more recently that wouldn't have been in the live action at all that have left because of age.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's funny though because they've recast at least one of the main Straw Hats. There's another reanimated version of this coming out by Wit Studio, which is the same studio that does Attack on Titan and like Spy Family, and it's just a different art studio. So right now it's like Toei Animation who's doing the anime, and now they're gonna do another release that is called The One Piece instead of just One Piece. The One Piece that is by Wit Studio, and it's gonna start from the very beginning. And purportedly, it's supposed to take care of some of the pacing issues that I feel like all anime sort of falls into at points. But oh man, there's so much. I actually lost my train of thought on that because I was so excited to talk about the Wit Studio version of it.
That's all right.
Well, it was the dub stuff. Like, sometimes it's just hard to parse like what Toei is doing versus what the manga versus what the live action. There's a lot of stuff that's lost in translation. So, yeah.
Yeah, at some point you just got to make decisions, and so who knows? All right, number 3 for you.
Number 3. Oh, I was in my demerits section for a second. This is my number 3. It was packaged with the settings, but the practical makeup
Okay.
and the settings.
Are you talking about
all
the
of
Fishman?
the Fishman. Yeah. Well, there's other stuff too, but specifically the Fishman. Arlong's
Yeah.
and Chew is one of them, the one with the big lips. They do some really good stuff with the Fishman, but also the settings. There's a lot of practical stuff. I talked about this in the last episode. They built out a lot of the ships. Now, I don't know if they're seaworthy or not, but Baratier was built out. Along Park was generally built out. All of these sets, they took a lot of time.
Yeah.
And they took a lot of care with how they placed certain things. There, so much care that there are points, and I'm going to mention this when we get to demerits, where there's like an oversight of something that is glaring, that you're like, you spent so much time with the setting and the makeup and all of your practical effects and these explosions and all of this, and then there's like a prop in the background that I cannot look away from because there's something in the back of my mind that itches. But generally, the practical effects, the makeup, the props, all of them, like top tier.
Yeah, I think it was just a
stuff.
good choice to lean into the practical stuff because, especially when you have something that's coming from an animated, origin, I think it's really easy to assume that you would use a lot of animation, in the composite of the final, to do animated pieces. And there is definitely, some digital stuff happening, but they really lean more towards the practical side. And yeah, especially with the Fishman, that's something like this is how they would have made it in the 1980s if they tried to approach the same thing, when you didn't have technology to lean on in the way that we do today. So I appreciated that.
And beyond that, the fight choreography, too, they use a lot of wire work. And I mentioned that the last episode, too. That is something that, like, think about The Matrix, the first Matrix movie, and then think about Matrix Resurrection, right? They probably used a lot of similar techniques, but the digital, or the newest Matrix movie, the one that just came out, lots more digital effect versus the original one, where you're looking at they were cutting edge digital effects at the time, but the wire work that they had Keanu Reeves doing, and I forget Trinity's actors. Yeah. It's what makes it seem realistic. This is going to be like a shot out in like a crazy, there's a movie on Netflix still, and it was nominated for an Oscar. I don't remember which year, but I think it's El Conte, The Count. It's foreign film. I think it's Spanish, and it's about Dracula. But there's a scene where this lady is flying for the first time as a vampire, and it's like over a field, and it is haunting because they're using old-fashioned wire work. And when you imagine a human flying, you don't imagine them like, oh, I'm going to flap my wings. You imagine Superman. You imagine somebody like effortlessly being lifted in the air. And I think in these fights, that superpower, that sort of weightless effect, you're not going to get that digitally. You get that with the wire work. You get that with practical effects, and they do it so well.
Yeah. The big exception, obviously, is Buggy the Clown with all of his, rotating appendages and whatever.
Yeah.
But, besides that, for the most part, it's exactly
how you
like
gonna
you
do
say.
that? Yeah.
How else are you going to do that? Yeah. I would be very interested to see how they would have done that in the 80s or something.
There's a lot of practical Buggy stuff, though.
Oh,
like,
sure.
every time they have his head, like, alone and it's sitting on something, he's just, like, popped into a barrel and his head's... Yeah. So they do a good job with that.
All right, let's go to number 2, because my number 3 was Sanji Zoro, so your number 2.
Yeah. So this is like another little bit of fan service. And it's a specific scene. It is Emily Rudd's titular scene in these episodes. Well, I would assume like the whole 8 episodes, in my opinion. It is one of the most famous from the manga and the anime as well. It is the Luffy help me scene. It's where she is betrayed by Arlong after having saved up enough money to save her village.
Shocking
She's
from Arlong. I thought he was such an upstanding guy.
Such a nice guy who's going to keep his promise.
Why would he lie?
Sends that rodent marine captain to come steal all the money that she's been saving, and thusly making a situation where he can destroy her town to punish her. And she's had it. She has spent her whole life basically giving up her dreams to save her town.
And not telling anybody about it.
And not telling anybody, keeping it really close to the chest. Yeah. And now, and that's another thing we're going to talk about in a minute, Jack.
Sure.
Yeah. But culminates in just a climactic sort of crash for Nami. And I think one of the best performances, again.
It's a breakdown.
She breaks down. She's incredible. The follow-up from Iñaki is also really good. I said in the last episode, when he turns on that serious energy, there's something in his eyes. And I don't know what it is, but he has it there too. And of course we will. Of course I will. Of course we're going to help you. To the shot of the crew all together, Luffy standing, Sanji in the front of the frame, Zoro sitting, and Usopp all together. That is another recreation of a frame of the manga where they've decided we're going to go fight Arlong as a crew. We're friends. This is it. It's happened.
Yeah.
And the significance of giving Nami the straw hat should not be lost on anybody who's viewing this. I gotta say, with all my, having watched everything that's come out for One Piece up until this point and read it, watching it again, it it hurts. It brings tears to your eyes, Jackie. I cried. I teared up during it. I gotta admit.
Yeah,
it's a
that
great
was the
performance.
most emotional, affecting part. And that's actually my number 2 as well. I have it written down as Nami's breakdown. Because, yes, I think that this is the point where Emily Rudd really shows something that is, okay, this is a serious performer. Because when she came into the show, she's doing what she's doing. She's like the cat burglar. She's got this thing, secret snail phone where she's calling someone you don't know who. Okay, that's fine. But this is where, that rug pull happens. All of a sudden, you can feel the weight of how many, all of those years of her having this kind of long plan that all comes tumbling down in just a few seconds, thanks to the mouse man. And she just, it's like one of those just kind of guttural reactions of how, everything is taken away from her in that moment. The only thing that would have made that even more crushing is if the mouse man killed his sister for some reason. But he comes, he takes all of that money, all of her plan is done, and then she's at her lowest point, and then she's immediately picked up, and it's like, hey, let's solve this together. So that's my number 2 as well. I think it's the best acting moment of the entire season.
Yeah. And can I let me add a little tack on, because I have this, I think it was effective, and we mentioned this as a demerit last time, but I want to give, I forgot her name. I'm going to say her name because she deserves it. Lily Fisher, the young woman who played Little Nami. I think, again, child actors, I'm going to give them a little bit of grace. Her and the young man who played Sanji's young version, I think, are the 2 strongest young actors. Christian Convery as young Sanji.
I agree with 50% of what you just said.
I understand. I think they're the strongest out of the. I think they're the strongest
we could do
two
a power
out
ranking
of
all of the. I probably agree with you at large. For me, it was 1 out of 5. And
I'm not okay. I'm saying they are the strongest 2 out of the 5. Nami being the strongest.
I think the Sanji kid was just a runaway. Obviously, the best. Possibly a little bit older. Honestly, I didn't have a problem with young Zoro either because he was also a little bit older.
A little older.
So maybe I'd put Nami in the 3 spot. Young Nami.
3? I thought she does better than Zoro. Well, we'll argue about it later when we're not on.
She had more to do, to be fair, than young Zoro.
A lot more lines.
The success rate for me was maybe less than it was for you. And for me, it's all colored by one moment where I was a little bit annoyed. But I will get to that at a later time.
Perfect, Jackie.
All right.
Are we gonna talk about our number 1s?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead with your number 1?
My number 1, Jackie. I couldn't make him chairman of the board, so I put him on my number 1.
Okay.
It's Taz Skylar, Jackie. He's my number 1. I am a self-admitted Sanji guy. I love Sanji.
From you.
I think he does such a good job. I think, okay, a little bit about him. He took cooking lessons. He took kickboxing lessons. Those abs are real, Jackie. The abs are real.
I'm telling you, when he saves Luffy from the water, I'm like, whoa. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, it came from hard work.
Don't hide your light in a bushel, Sanji.
But so there's some background to this. He learned to cook. He learned to do, so the cuts that he's making, he's cooking. Those are his hands and stuff when he's doing all the.
It'd be weird if it wasn't his hands.
No, well, I mean, they do. That's a thing that
I know. I know. Like when people play piano and whatever, and they
or
can't
do
really
card
play.
tricks or whatever. Yeah, they cut the. But the point is, his stunts are him. He did the cooking. All of these things that he's learned. And he puts on a good performance. And Sanji happens to be my favorite character in the Straw Hats.
Which is
up
important.
Until this point.
Since he's your favorite character, I think it would have been easy for you to get disappointed.
Right. I could have been very disappointed. And I think Because there's another thing about the anime that I think doesn't translate well into live action, and that is some of the bits that the characters do. Last week we talked about how Zoro gets lost, and there's only one instance of that happening in those last couple episodes.
It's almost like an Easter egg for people who know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, if you know, but there's an unavoidable quirk of Sanji that a lot of people on the internet don't like, and that he is, I guess the kids these days would call it a simp. He loves women.
He's a womanizer.
I wouldn't necessarily even call him a womanizer.
Problematic. He loves the ladies, okay? That used to be okay. Back in 1999, it was fine to just, love the ladies.
I think I would use... this is hard. He might be a pervert. That might be an accurate representation, but not in the way that Americans use the word pervert.
Sure.
It's like the way that Japanese people mean the word pervert, which is like,
If you think he's a pervert, what I say to you, watch more anime.
Yeah, exactly. If you think Sanji is a pervert, I suggest picking up any other anime and watching a semi-sexual episode for one moment. Please, just try. But the point is, he can't fight a woman. He can't hit a woman. His eyes turn into hearts. There's a bunch of stuff that happens in the anime that's really hard to convey if you were to do it live action. So what they opted for was this sort of suave guy who's like very confident.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. So it's like he acts like he's got it. He walks the walk. He's talking the talk. But ultimately, when he makes the move, he's falling flat on his face. Yeah. And I think that's a perfect way to do it.
Like
because
they save Nami, he's got his arms open, and then she runs right to Zoro and Usopp.
Exactly, Usopp. Yeah, it's perfect. They do a very good job. I think if you were to translate that trope in any way into a live action, especially for a Western audience, you are going to have trouble, and this is probably the only way you're going to do it where it's going to be successful. Yeah. So I love it. And Taz Skylar, if you ever hear me or see me, I think you're doing such a great job. And please keep being Sanji. Yeah.
He did do a great job. So my number one is a little bit more broad, but it's, in the neighborhood of where you're at. So mine was actually the relationship between Chef Zeph and Sanji. Okay? So taking it from the individual, I think it was really the two of them together. You got all of these bad dads in this series, all these father issues. This is the best father-son-like relationship that we've got in the entire show.
Sure. Yeah.
And it doesn't start that way because when you meet them, you just think, oh, this chef is kind of a Gordon Ramsay type a-hole. He's not letting them cook the way he wants to. He's making him go out and be a waiter. You don't understand the history right when you see him. You just think, oh, this guy hates his boss and, this is a terrible place to work. Then you get to, I believe it's episode 6, that almost starts with the flashback. And in my mind, this is the best flashback that we get in the entire run of 8 episodes. Because
the flashback for sure.
Not only is it, I think, the best just narratively of what happens. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically Zeph is part of the Cook Pirates or whatever. And
the captain,
Sanji is on a boat that they attack. And then, they end up, a storm happens and they both end up washed up on this rock together. They're kind of at odds because he's a pirate and Sanji, is just a survivor. And then he appears to take a ton of, food rations and leaves him with very little. But what we find out is that Zeph actually took a bunch of treasure that's worthless when you're starving, ends up auto-cannibalizing, eating his own leg, and Sanji was the only one that actually had food. So there's like this underlying softness to Zeph, hard exterior, but like he really cares about Sanji. He sees himself in Sanji because he once was a young kid that wanted to find the all blue. They're both just love cooking. They both love just getting to the highest level of cooking, even though Chef Zeph seems to think oregano belongs on everything. All right? That's Demerits,
And
Tyler.
Sanji thinks it's for savages, Jackie.
Now,
That is actually one thing I disagree with our
it's
friend
not for
Sanji on.
that is
Okay?
pretty extreme of Sanji to say it's for savages. I can
I
agree
think
that
it's
oregano
because-
doesn't necessarily belong on everything, but it's anti-Italian, Tyler. And
Well,
that's what I can't
Jackie,
get
it's
behind.
because I think, Sanji, if you listen to his, remember when he does his final move, the mouton shot, right? It's French. You know what he is portrayed as a French person, and it would make sense that if a French cook were to nag another cuisine, I feel like Italian might be the one that they would aim at. You know what I mean? Because they're comparable.
It could be.
French and Italian cooking, they're different. Like French is very technical there, but they're both very highly praised in the culinary world as very. And
that's an
I feel like
interesting thing to look at because, in Italian cooking, it's like, let's use as few ingredients as possible. And in French, it's like, let's,
highly technical.
just like
how are we?
make sure we have as much butter as we can and let's like make it as complicated as
Let's
possible.
confit a piece of garlic. And
So
then,
I had the flashback alone with, in my mind, by far the most top level child actor that they had in this whole thing. And you can really tell that he's one of the best because he's one of the only kids that has a clickable link on Wikipedia that guides you to more of their work.
that makes sense.
They have an amazing goodbye where they almost refuse to say goodbye for the longest time. And then as he's pulling away from the dock, finally they're like saying what they mean to say to each other about like their feelings. So you can tell that they're just the type where they wouldn't really talk about their feelings directly, but they both were aware, that this was a very important person to them. And I just think overall across, really, I believe Zeph shows up even past when he leaves because Garp comes to the restaurant and things like that. But the way that they showcase their relationship throughout, especially episodes 5 and 6 and beyond, I think was some of the best just writing in the show, the best development of characters that we saw. And that's part of what made Sanji such an immediate success coming into the show because you're introducing someone in the back half of the season. I don't know how you do it better than that.
Hey, Jackie, I agree with you. And I would like to tack on one little thing. When you said Garp comes back, they has the meal, he's asking Zeph about where Luffy's gone, the crew. And they have a bit of a conversation. And I do want to just bring this up because of the viewers. There's a lot of stuff, we've talked about a lot of things with dreams. And you mentioned that Sanji has the same dream as Zeph to find the All Blue, which has fish from all different seas in it. There's ingredients that's a cook's dream. And this series focuses a lot on people's dreams. And another concept, and I hope this isn't going to give away too much, but I want it to contextualize like the conversation that Garp and Zeph have with one another. The idea of inherited will or inherited dreams. Zeph it's not lost on Zeph that Sanji has the same dream as him and that he stopped going for his dream and let Sanji move to get it.
Yep.
In the conversation with Garp, he says to Garp, maybe it's time for the next generation to take the helm or take
So he's
their
like,
turn.
maybe I should actually put my house on the market, even though I'm a boomer. I should allow the kids
so
to
we
have
could give other
affordable
people
housing and
a
that sort of
chance.
thing. And then Garp's like,
Exactly,
no,
Jackie.
I'm going to actually buy more properties, and I don't care about these young people. They can just they can make it the hard way just like I did. So I really like that conversation as well, and I love
Jackie,
they're talking about the wine, and he's like
I just want to. This is so. If we're talking, just because we're talking about inherited dreams and inherited will, right? Who do you think Luffy inherited his dream from, or his will from? That's for the viewers at home. That's what I want you to think about, and I want Jackie to think about it too.
I will.
Because
I'll think about it.
It's such a wonderful
That was
concept.
a great conversation as well.
Yeah.
that part of the show, even if you're not thinking about where that leads in the future, it's a great just you see the kind of two perspectives on, old men running things, or hey, let's let the younger people kind of take their shot. We had our shot. And, Gop kind of gets there in the end because he's like, maybe I should start, putting my training and my best, just putting kind of the best pieces of myself into these two young recruits in Helmeppo and Kobe. So he kind of leans there toward the end.
But I also think he gives a little of himself to Luffy on the way out, too.
Oh,
and
sure.
That makes you wonder a little bit about where Garp stands on all of this Marines, pirates.
Garp is a confounding character, if I'm frank. He's clearly not like a Javert-type law enforcer. He's like, he plays the part of like, oh, yeah, we got to go, pirates are pirates, we got to get them. But then a lot of it is just kind of testing resolve and will. And, yeah.
Oh, Jackie, I can't wait for you to get further down the line in this.
The grand
Garp
line.
is one of my favorite characters in the series, for sure.
Yeah.
Garp is, there's some negative feelings about Garp because of where we are right now and back, like flashbacks and stuff. But I think ultimately Garp's going to be shown to be a very good man.
I think he's net likable by the end. But speaking of, unlikable, negative stuff, let's get to demerits. So what is your number 5 demerit?
Okay, this is a nitpick. I said that there was a prop. I technically have this as number 1, but I'm going to make it 5 because it's really not number 1. It was just the first thing that I noticed. So when we're on Garp's ship, right, he has a decanter full of whiskey. The decanter is much like the decanter me and Jackie use during our shows. It is square, it goes up and down. You've seen it before. It's etched glass. If you search Amazon right now, folks, and look for a whiskey decanter, it's probably the first one that comes up. Now, this is an insane nitpick, but it's only because they put so much effort into the ship. All of the map tables are on swinging, like they're suspended from the ceiling, and they swing. All of the tables. Do you know what I mean? There are things everywhere. But that decanter is not a captain's decanter. It is not suitable for a vessel. That decanter would fall over in a wave. There is a specific style of whiskey decanter that is meant for ships, and it has you've seen them before. They're like very wide bases, and then they come up to like a very thin neck. And those, again, it's a nitpick. It is a prop that you probably did buy off of Amazon, prop team. But you would think you spent a lot of time in the anime world, you're on ships, you're doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd wonder about whether that thing's going to tip over, which it definitely will. And there's a lot of existing media that uses the correct kind of decanter. So,
maybe it just, feeds into the hubris of Garp. He thinks his ship is so steady. How could his decanter ever fall over?
Maybe, but that's like a very, again, it's a
maybe
small
he's got
nitpick,
some
but it did bother
gyroscopic things happening in the stern, makes it impossible.
But that's what I'm saying, Jackie. It's like there's so much attention to detail that something like that, I see it on his table and I'm like, this is, come on, we gotta. But again, nitpick.
Sure.
Showrunners. Okay.
That's your number 5.
Nitpick.
That's fine. That's your number 5.
Yeah, that's number 5.
Right? Number 5. These demerits are just, little things typically.
The demerits, the little things.
They're little, especially when you're down at number 5. And my number 5, I'm actually going to swap out in real time because we already kind of talked about Sanji's creep factor. I don't want to belabor that because I don't think it's really that big of an issue. So I'm going to actually swap in another one that I had as an honorable mention to my number 5, and it is the pronunciation of Baratier. Okay? So listen, we've talked about Sanji being French-coded. This restaurant is clearly kind of a French-style type cooking, and when you see the word, if a French person were to say it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but nowhere where this is written down does it have an accent over the E. right? It's
Correct.
just letters. So a French
Yeah.
person would say barati. They would not say baratier. Okay, that's like a very Spanish type, maybe Italian pronunciation. So again, I would just say, if we're doing the French thing, let's make it French. Just the baratier of it all. It made me wonder, who's making these choices. All right. Again, a little thing. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what the intention is there. All I know is that if it's supposed to be French, they're saying it wrong.
I literally just looked it up because I was interested to know why they called it baratier, because you're right, it wouldn't be. And my first thought is it's because it's originally written in Japanese, so it would be like written in the characters and the sounds that you would get.
But it looks French to me. The TIE of it,
right? But it's actually it's based on a Japanese restaurant called Baratier.
Oh, okay.
Which translates
so it's almost like
to
a phonetic
Rose Arbor.
Transfiguration of it.
Yeah, it's a steakhouse where Ichiro Oda worked as a teenager, apparently. But it looks like he flipped or he inverted the last sound or something.
It's supposed to be like Barate.
I can't read. Yeah, I can't read. It's spelled EI.
So it's one of those lost in translation things. It's just, to me, like the word looks like it's supposed to be French, and then everyone is saying it like they're Spanish. Little thing. That's my number 5. All right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Your number 4.
Okay. We're getting into the stuff where I'm going to start nitpicking about how the story would have been more well suited with things to be left in from the anime. There is a character that is completely left out of the live action, and his name is Hachan. He is one of the fishmen.
Hachan.
And he is they end up nicknaming him Hachi later.
Okay.
But he is an octopus fishman, and he is a swordsman. And I understand I understand why you wouldn't have the character, because
it's a lot of arms.
He stands on 2 of the octopus legs, and he has 6 arms, and then
6 swords.
But 6 swords, Jackie. And this is a fight that happened. Hachan fights Zoro, 3 sword style versus 6 sword style. And there's a split in battles. So Usopp fights Chu, right? He gets chased in the live action. He gets chased, and I'm going to talk about that later too.
Yeah.
That's actually my next one. But the point is, it's Usopp and Chu. Sanji was supposed to fight. What was his name? Karubi, and then Zoro is supposed to fight Hachan, and probably a technical thing that they couldn't put Hachan.
We just talked about these practical effects, and how are you going to put the practical fishmen up against what would have had to be either multiple people? I mean, the choreography of it would be
insane,
very difficult to impossible.
But the character Hachan is more important, to the story, is more important than Chu and Karubi.
Yeah. Did they transplant any of his stuff to other characters, or did they just completely kind of leave it out?
So it's interesting. There's kind of no way to know, because no, they didn't. He initially does greet them and talks to them, and he's supposed to be your introduction to a fisherman who's not necessarily all bad. He doesn't know who the Straw Hats are when he first encounters them.
That's really interesting, because we didn't really have a lot of that. The Fishman,
Right, and this is what I'm saying.
I don't want to talk too much about it now because that's actually one of my other demerits that's coming up is talking about just the fact that the Fishmen are kind of one note, not one note like in that way, but they're fairly irredeemable. There's not any that leads you to.
This is exactly what I'm saying. Hachan, as a character, they could have changed. The fans would have been up in arms if they would have changed the type of Fishman he was.
Sure.
So I don't know what we would have done about that, but he gives you a glimpse of what it looks like when there is like morality behind the Fishman.
Not all Fishmen.
Right, and he comes into the story later, and it's like very important to like the overarching themes of the entire story. It's like beyond. He has like parallels with Nami that are like, it's hard to explain without giving everything away, but I think not having a Hachan or some sort of like character replacement for him is a disservice ultimately to the series, because we're going to need something to explain. I talked about the Fishman slavery thing earlier. We're going to need something to explain that and bring us together with the Fishmen and have it be like a cohesive. The Straw Hats are going to help.
I hope that it's like in season 1, it's like Fishmen are bad. I hope that we get some gray area, maybe, going forward from somewhere. Maybe it's not from the Octopus Man, but, from somewhere.
But I miss Hachan, and Hachan is another one of my like favorite like sort of side characters that shows up.
All right,
Justice
so that was your number 4. Justice for
number
Hachan.
4.
My number 4, and this is something that you kind of mentioned in your positive category, but, again, we're kind of nitpicking here. I have young Nami at number 4. And not her whole performance, but specifically the piece of it where she steals a book and then her adopted mother kind of catches her in it. And she kind of flips on a dime from, like, being normal to, like, all of a sudden, like, yelling and being like, I hate being poor. I hate tangerines. And I hate you. I don't remember. I didn't revisit it, like, today. But something about how the affect changed in that way almost made some of these child actors, it seems to me like they watch the anime and then they try to perform the anime.
They try to do the...
You know what I mean?
That actually kind of makes sense. I never even thought about it that way. That would...
Which makes sense from a process standpoint. If I was 8 years old and I was told, like, you're going to be this character... That is the material that I would go to.
It.
And then that. Yeah. But again, I think it's less the actress herself and more on the direction. And it also leads me to question why then did the young Sanji performance just read so much better to me? And so it can't all be on the actor. I think the young Sanji actor was just particularly very good.
He was, yeah.
So maybe it was just that, the direction needed to maybe bring everybody else up to the level. It could also be some writing pieces. It's hard to know where to lay the blame, but something about young Nami just in that moment didn't happen for me, and that's my number 4.
She had more lines, too, and young Sanji had a lot of, like, facial acting opportunity where it was just like him and camera and reaction without any line.
He was also really in tough situations that I think maybe are easier to react to. Like your ship's getting raided by pirates, you're starving on an island. I feel like is almost easier to understand.
You've been out in the sun for 70 days.
Whereas young Nami, it's like you stole a book and you shouldn't have, and you're poor, but you got to still be a good person intrinsically. It's harder, I think, to manage, like, how do I take emotion A to emotion B when I get called out for, this moral issue with this book. So, like when young Nami is being directly threatened by Arlong and there's, like, direct fear, like, that reads fine. So, again, I just think it's, they just needed to throttle that other situation and then it would have been fine. But, that's my number 4.
Well, then, we're going to move on to the 3. For me, this is another one that's like, it's different in the anime, different in the live action, but also I think it's a disservice. Usopp and Chu's fight.
So this is the forest
Much
fight
different.
where he's running and,
much
just spitting
different.
whiskey or whatever, alcohol.
Yeah, spitting the whiskey. I suppose they do like a quick version. He lays down, he pretends that he's bleeding, he pretends he's dead, and then he tricks him by getting an opportunity to actually get off a shot with his exploding star. Chu's holding a bottle of liquor, he explodes. Great. In the anime, sorry, spoilers, he has a myriad of different, like, sort of feints, or like fake moves that he does. He pretends that he has like a rubber band that he keeps with him that he like pretends is gonna really hurt Chu, and Chu's like, "Oh no, I've never seen a rubber band before. I've gotta
I'm just a fish man. I don't know about rubber bands.
Right, I don't know about rubber bands. He pretends that he has a hammer. The Usopp hammer is very heavy, but it turns out to be not just like a regular hammer. And all of these things are like culminate into him like sort of, how do I put this? He's like mouse trapping Chu. He is setting up a series of circumstances to then allow himself to get the better of Chu rather than just doing, oh, I'm dead, oh, I fired. Do you know what I mean? He's like,
yeah, there's a lot
trap
more
1, trap 2, trap 3, trap 4.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
it's like
gets you to do the thing that I want you to do.
Where people go out for fake spikes and, that kind of thing.
He sets up Chu to think that he's won and to take a drink of his liquor to then shoot him. Like, his plan was to get hurt a bunch and to do all of these things to ultimately get that shot off. And it shows you that Usopp, for the first time, he's been running, he's been lying, he pretends that he's all of these things, but he finally turns around and uses his deception to win a fight. And I think that's sort of lost in how quickly it happens for him in the live action.
Yeah, the connective tissue maybe isn't there, that, like, his overall...
He's a planner.
His
like
deceptive
devious.
nature, maybe doesn't just... Again, it doesn't connect everything that he's doing there. You don't maybe directly make the connection to the stories that he tells or this and that.
Right.
I think overall the actor's doing a great job with it, but I agree that I think if we spend more time... I think
all the actors are great. I do think that all of the adult Straw Hat actors are honestly killing the performances. I can't think of anybody who would do
it better, but I think it is just an amount of time that we have with him. You almost can't.
Yeah, I think that is the main problem.
Put all that on the page.
There's like 6 or 7 episodes that introduce each of these characters in the anime. You know what I mean? That's like an hour of material there's just backstory for most of them. And some of them get 2 flashbacks. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes the story is not everything. Sometimes you get a flashback of one of their backstories and then they're like, well, that's not everything we're going to tell you about even earlier. There's some people online who think, because like up until now, spoilers, we haven't gotten a second one for Nami, but we still don't know how Nami got adopted. Like, aside from that Bellemere founder.
Yeah, we just saw like the one image of her and her sister.
There are people on the internet who think that she may be like royalty and stuff like that, like because of sort of how vague the backstory is comparatively to like other backstories we get down the line.
Yeah.
We also like the same thing with Luffy. Like, ultimately, we only have the backstory kind of from like Garp training to
that's all we have really in terms of Luffy right now. Where I'm at, all we have in the family tree is Garp. We don't have any mother, father, clarity.
Well, I gotta tell you, Jackie,
nothing like that.
Where I am, we don't have clarity on mother.
Yeah.
So if that, kind of gives you any sort of like reference point to how vast or how detailed some of the backstories are.
I'm telling you, if it turns out like the ocean is his mother, I'm throwing this out.
No,
You know, throw
I've
the
got
computer.
I have a really funny theory that like some people think is true, but I don't want to.
Yeah, we
Next
can go
season
into
we'll
theory
talk about
corner
what
later.
I think.
All right. So that was your number 3.
Number 3.
Okay. My number 3, we kind of briefly touched on the irredeemable nature of the fishmen that we see, how just bad they are. And
Yeah, the meme.
And the fact that they draw such obvious analogs to historically, you know, the slave trade. And even if you don't take them all as, you know, African American or black, you at least take them as a multicultural, again, Fast and the Furious type gang that would probably include people across multiple non-white cultures. And the fact that there's nobody good in there, and that Arlong goes out of his way to be not virtuous and to betray Nami and to just, you know, basically not be honorable, I think is, again, probably just the text, but slightly problematic and maybe could have been approached a little bit differently. I'm not saying that you don't, you know, it's a fine line, right? Because that is kind of how they're written, is the lesser, like the just the they're a class of people that were once thought to be lower, and then due to recent changes in the way that things are done in this world, they are now, you know, no longer part of this lower class, but there's still kind of the historical legacy of all of that in the background. That's why I think we needed some redeemable fishmen to throw in here. Even if you have Arlong as the bad guy, having a couple that just were on kind of the light side, I think would have done a lot for it. And maybe we'll get that in season 2. But for me, it was just like a little... It left like a tiny bad taste in my mouth, just because it was so clear kind of the historical allusion that they're making here.
I also want to point out that the only fishman that it's like outside of the Arlong pirates that I think we meet in this season is
the maitre d' or
the
whatever.
maitre d'.
Yeah.
And it's like a service position. So
Yeah.
and while he's nice, or it's just more analogs to sort of what we've been talking about. And I agree. But this is why Hachan, again, this is the thing where it's
And
like
that
there
makes a
was a
lot of
character
sense.
for this.
Yeah.
It's like there's an entire character that is like not in the show.
But
that
if they're
sort
going to
of
make them,
does
if they're going
that.
to make them like this, you don't need to put the hip hop beat underneath every time they're there. It's just like there's ways to approach this where maybe it would have felt a little better. And again, it's not something that completely like ripped me out of it, but it's just like, I wonder if they thought about, you know, the exact way that they're presenting this. And it made me, as a non-anime watcher, wonder what was the difference in the anime, you know. And obviously they don't have a hip hop beat when you're reading the manga, so it's more like what's in your head. But the way that they cast the fishmen, the way that they're presenting Arlong Park, like all of it, you can kind of read between the lines. And yeah, it's just, I hope that they just add more color to the fishmen in general in season 2, in terms of, hey, these were, you know, some bad guys, but there's also good guys.
Oh, Jackie, if we get all the way to, you know, where I hope we get, you're going to find great fishmen, some of the best characters in the show, fishmen, and some of the most evil characters in the show, even worse than Arlong, I would say. Because Arlong, it's funny because Arlong, it's like pretty clear that he has faced like prejudice. You can he mentions it,
and they
he
do go
talks
into
about
that.
it.
Like, there's a reason why he hates humans, and he goes into all this. So it's like, on the one hand, you can like you get that his MO is just like basically screw all the humans at the end of the day because, why would I make a promise that I would keep to a human
Jackie,
because of what's been done historically to my people, et cetera, et cetera.
Some characters. Some characters just hate to hate.
All right, Tyler. What's your number 2? If you can, take a grand drink of that water, then come back to me.
I just had something come down like my throat, Jackie. There's something in my throat.
It's because you were talking bad about the fisherman. That's karma.
That's what it was. Ooh. Okay, Jackie. Oh, okay. Number two. So this is another, sort of weird thing that they could have... This is something they could have put in the live action, and it would have worked. Could have just been written in. And I don't honestly know why they didn't do it. And it makes more sense. And I think turns Nami's scenes into more effective scenes. Nojiko and the entire town, not in the live action, but in the manga and the anime, they know about the deal.
Yeah,
Nami's deal with
that's
All
what my
Along.
wife said as well. And I was like, well, that changes things
And
quite a bit.
No, exactly. And I thought that they could have easily had scenes go pretty much exactly how they've gone until the confrontation with Nojiko at the end. And she could have just gone, oh, I know. We all knew the whole time. All this... The fear for... she could have explained it in a line. It's like the townspeople put on a show to fear you in front of them to protect you. You didn't need... Because, in the anime, they do all these flashbacks where it's like, oh, we were, the townspeople knew we were supporting you, from the side by acting this way and treating you in this way to keep your cover, essentially. And you could have explained that. And then it would have been so much more than, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I forgive you immediately.
Sure. That's the thing.
A weird thing.
I can see them thinking about it and going, what are the chances that if the whole town knew that with just the iron fist that All Along was ruling with, what are the chances that he wouldn't have learned about it from somebody else? So I could see Nami protecting her position, just not sharing that information. But also, at the end of the day, I think we would just need to learn more about that deal. Why would it not be okay for them to know about it? Because the whole point of the 100 million number is All Along never thinks she's going to get there. So why would he really care if they knew about it at the end of the day? It's just a strange... It seems like an own goal from Nami to just have it, she's taking it on all sides. She's making it way too hard for herself when she could have just let somebody in about it. It seems weird.
Yeah.
So I get it.
But again, different in the manga and the anime, and it makes more sense to me.
Yeah, and it's clearly a choice because they changed it. So they had to have thought about it in a certain way. I think there's problems with both cases, and I think it's easier in an anime to have what am I trying to say? The population of a village to have its own kind of character is easier in an anime to have a group of people that behaves as a unit. Whereas in a show, it's in a live action show, it just doesn't read as well to have a village behave as almost its own character, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
A setting can be a character. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Okay. So my number 2 is also kind of tied in with Cocoa Village, and it's my guy, Sheriff Genzo. What does this guy even do, Tyler? He's worthless. He's just rolling around in sandals and shorts, apparently waiting for trouble to occur. The problem is, when trouble comes, not only do they have this very kind of worthless little palisade wall that has a wide open gate that they just stroll through. They don't even have to get over the wall or nothing. But he immediately just takes one to the face, doesn't get any blows in himself. So, number one, okay, I can get it in the past where he just gets, completely blown up by the fishman, comes in. Why is he still in his position? why are they still trusting their safety to this guy? What is he doing? How much money is he making? Can I get his job? Because clearly you don't have to do anything or have any kind of provable results.
Yeah, Jackie, the thing about that is I kind of agree. He doesn't do anything when it comes to like the fishmen, but the way these communities work, as far as I'm concerned, in like the island communities in One Piece, they keep to themselves. Any outside force is like completely imposing. This little town, he's the sheriff, but only for these people. He's not here to protect them from like the outside. He is there to make sure Nami doesn't steal a book.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a genius at preventing little kids from stealing books from the library. But the second real danger comes through the door, he barely gets his weapon out.
I agree with you. So I don't want to I agree. I do think he's not a great sheriff, but not to the responsibility of protecting the town from like outside influence of people. It's generally further down the line, you're going to find out it's either the government, like the Marines, the world government, or the town is under the flag of like a pirate crew.
Yeah.
And the reason the Arlong pirates wouldn't have attacked this village would be because a pirate had already said, "Oh, I'm protecting this, and if you touch this land, I'm
and they're
coming
paying
for
tribute."
you.
So it's like the classic thing with the mafia. You know, you have to pay the mafia for protection or else they will, break all your stuff and kill your mother or whatever. So I get all of that, but the problem with Genzo is he's still
useless.
He not only is he useless, but he's still in his role. I think if I was doing this show, I would have made Genzo like a former, like that was the day that he gave up his sheriff, role. Like he is now doing something else. He is like in some kind of a leadership position in the village, but he's no longer like the sheriff because there's no point. What's the point of having a sheriff in this little, community now? So that's my number 2 is Genzo. What's your number 1 now?
My number 1 is the most egregious mistake that the live action made. It's the worst one. It's the worst thing you could have done. Nami says to Zoro at one point, "Zoro, you're his first mate. This is your job." Zoro is not the first mate of the Straw Hats. That is not true. It is vastly inaccurate. If you were to look up the positions of everybody on the Straw Hat Pirates, Zoro is the swordsman. He is the swordsman. Sanji is the cook. Usopp is the sniper. Nami is the navigator. They have titles. They have positions on the crew. I would get into more of their the further Straw Hats later, but it's not important. He's not a first mate. He is not the first mate. In fact, there's no written account canonically in the manga or any of that question answer material that says that he's the first mate. Otis never called him the first mate. They decided to do that. And again, this is my Sanji fandom sort of coming out, but part of the story is also that Luffy doesn't crush people's dreams or stand in the way of somebody's dreams. Zoro doesn't want to be the first mate of a pirate captain. Zoro's not the first mate of a pirate captain. He may be his number 1 confidant. He may be the second strongest on the crew. Sure, fine, I'll give him all those accolades. He's not the first mate. He is the swordsman of the Straw Hats because eventually Zoro is going to become the world's greatest swordsman. And he's not going to be the world's greatest first mate. He's not going to be second in command of the Straw. He's going to be the world's greatest swordsman. That's what he's going to do. And Luffy is never going to say, "Oh, no, you're my first mate. That's what you do." No, he's going to say, "Oh, you're my swordsman." That's what he is, and that's what he does. And to say that are we going to call Usopp the the guy who, like, with the swabby who cleans the brig? No. That's not what he does. I'm so bothered by it that it's like, why would you do that? The Zoro stands are just too much for me. I love Zoro. Again, a Sanji fan. I'm going to stop talking about this in just a second. I swear, Jackie, I can see your eyes. The point is, it's like, it might sound like I don't like Zoro. I love Zoro. I think Zoro is an incredible character. I love that he's designed to be cool. I think that it's awesome. I enjoy more Sanji's material. That's just how it's always been. I'm sorry that's just how I like to watch stuff. But it's more egregious to me that you would even call him something that he's not. Because what is Sanji? If I called Sanji the first mate of the Straw Hat Pirates, everyone would get angry with me. Yeah. And it wouldn't be because he doesn't deserve it or he wasn't the first one or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's because he's the cook. And it's like, just don't call him what he's not, and maybe I'll get over it. But the fact that, and you know, whether the showrunner, what is his name,
yeah.
Matt?
I mean, it must have just been
Matt Owens is a huge
show
fan,
decision.
And it could have been a show decision, and it might be just for the ease of explaining
it's probably
their
just
relationship
that they were
with one
watching a
another.
bunch of pirate stuff, and they were like, don't pirates typically have a first mate?
And you want to know what's funny? Even I'm going to double check this. I got to be just so sure about this right now. I don't even think the crew that the Straw Hats base themselves off of have a first mate. Which is I think they're an analog to the Shanks crew, but or the Red-Haired Pirates, but
it could be. I don't know. Again, there's
arguments for Gold Roger.
I never ever.
There's arguments for Gold Roger, which I could understand, but you know what? This is crazy because prove me wrong. One Piece wiki apparently, Red-Hair Pirates and the Gold Roger Pirates have a first mate, but I would never call Zoro a first mate.
Yeah, you're just a little butthurt because you want your guy to be in there. You don't want.
Well, I also don't want. No, I don't want him to be. I don't want Sanji to be the first mate. I want Sanji to continue to be the cook.
I mean, Sanji wouldn't be the first mate. It's just like
no.
He wasn't. He got there fifth. He was in fifth place.
I think Nami or Usopp would be, to be honest with you.
Maybe, but Nami. I mean, she hasn't been. She's probably been the least loyal of all the people. She had her reasons, as we found, but, it's not going to be Nami. Usopp lies too much. I mean, it's clearly... If you were going to pick one, you have to admit it would clearly be Zoro, just in the classical first mate context.
No, I understand.
Of, like, what that
but
is.
I just disagree with the way that,
the nomenclature of, declaring a first mate.
It's not even what... And Luffy doesn't even call him his first mate. I just don't even... Yeah. Again, this is like a nitpick thing. It doesn't really matter, but it's just like in the world building of this whole thing. The point is that Luffy doesn't pigeonhole people into like he would just be like, do what a first mate. The only thing, and this is another thing that they don't mention in the live action, the only crew member that he has an idea for that he actually needs on his crew is a musician. And he doesn't mention that at all in this entire thing, but that is the thing that he's looking for, like before he even thinks about a navigator. Before he thinks about a doctor, he's like, I need a musician. So to call a first mate when he doesn't even have a conception of what a first mate is a crazy thing to me.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think it's probably just to, bring us into
the world more.
Pirate culture, like in popular culture. like pirates in popular culture, I should say.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
You got a first mate, you got a SME or whatever.
I know, a SME.
So it's something that they threw off to. It's not like they reference it every 5 seconds, but they do.
But it just
they do
is
touch
annoying.
on it a couple of times. I hear you. All right, my number one is a little bit more direct of, what's in the show, and that is, why does anybody take the rat guy, the mouse guy, seriously? Like, this guy shows up, he's wearing whiskers, he's wearing a mouse hat. How can anybody in the Marines trust this guy? He's the only Marine that's wearing whiskers and a mouse hat. We're not talking about someone like Mary, who's an actual, like, sheep guy. He's just wearing this stuff. He's not, like, mouse, right?
He is. I think he is like a mouse person, but he doesn't have the ears, though.
So,
yeah, he's like a mouse man.
So this almost ties back
he's
to
not
the
like
fisherman
wearing
thing,
a thing in the...
Where it's like all the fishermen are bad. Well, they got one mouse guy, and you're telling me that he's a rat?
There's even more races of people, too. It's like there's a crazy amount of different things that we haven't even gotten to yet,
Well, but the thing is, Tyler, they had in the last 4 episodes, randomly, Gaup comes out wearing like a dog hat, and I had a lot of questions about that. So you're telling me... So that's immediately what I thought of when I saw... And what's this guy's name? Kazumi? Am I getting that wrong? It's something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
I think.
Nozumi,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he comes in, he's wearing this mouse hat, and he's got whiskers, and immediately I'm brought back to when Gaup went to Shell's Town, I believe, and he's,
the whiskers aren't part of a costume. Unfortunately.
Maybe they are. Maybe he's just really into his routine and his whole mouse thing. I don't know. Because apart from that, he seemed like a normal guy, whereas Mary, like, clearly had some, body parts that were more akin to a sheep or a ram. But this guy, not only does he have the whiskers and the mouse hat, but also... He is a bona fide rat within the Marines. He's playing for the other side.
Working with pirates. Yeah.
And it's like, how does anybody not see this coming when he's dressed as a rat and he's doing rat things, Tyler?
I don't know, Jackie, but I think that's just a nod and a wink to us,
It's like, do you get it? It's like, I get it.
Of course.
I don't get why anybody, deals with this guy. He's the only Marine that has whiskers, and he's the only dirty one, apparently. It's terrible.
All right, Jackie.
All right, we got to move on. Yep.
Yeah. We got to run through these pretty quick, too. We're getting
a little fat as usual, but that's fine.
That's okay.
We got to talk about these things. So let's quickly go over the top 5 fights, and I think this will be pretty easy because, at least for me, most of mine are within one fight. So
kind of me too.
So all right, I'll go and let's just talk about these as they come up. So my number 5 was Luffy versus Arlong in the.
That's my number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything to say about this? He does a lot of gum stuff. It's
the gum stuff. I think it's a nice showing of Luffy realizing that he may not be as strong as somebody else and thinking of a way to win.
Sure.
Regardless.
Nice moment where he lands a blow, pops his teeth out, and then he immediately grows new teeth. It's like, ooh.
In the anime, they fully pop out of his mouth, and then Luffy puts a pair of his teeth into his own. It's very funny. So then he has Arlong's teeth in his own mouth, and he's like, wah, wah, wah.
Oh man! I mean, they missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, they did.
We kind of learn here that Luffy can punch through stone, which I don't know if we knew before.
No, so you don't know that until then. Yeah, you're right.
He just he ends up kind of bringing the whole building down. So it was nice. I mean, it's at my number 5 for a reason. It's like it probably wasn't the most fun thing to watch, but I appreciated a lot of what happened there. And from an emotional standpoint, that's where he's really going to bat for Nami. And that's you could say it's the most important battle that's happening, but it's maybe not the most fun to be in and to watch.
Yeah. My number 5 was Mihawk versus the Don Krieg Pirates, which is when Gaup calls upon Mihawk. I didn't even have that one on
my list, but that's a good one.
It's also not in the anime or in the manga. It's just something that was added. It's mentioned that Mihawk did these things.
Yeah.
But to see it, it's pretty cool. You get to see a feat that is something that you probably wouldn't have seen until much later down the line, which is somebody cutting a ship in half from far away. Mihawk like uses some sort of
you
weird
get the
slash.
picture right away that this guy
You're like, oh,
is legit.
he's a guy,
Yeah.
and sort of you're dipping your toe in the water of what the people mean about maybe the grand line, maybe Luffy isn't ready, maybe the Straw Hats aren't ready for what's coming.
Yeah, like this
But
is a guy at a higher
we'll keep
level than
moving.
they've experienced before. Maybe
than they've ever
It's
seen.
also in the show where they introduce this concept of these protected pirates that are like part of the government, basically that they have free license to do whatever, and it's kind of a weird situation where the government is hiring these pirates that are very powerful that maybe don't always do what the government wants them to do, etc. Okay, my number 4 was Zoro versus Mihawk. This is outside of the restaurant. And, it's just some nice... This is, I think important for Zoro's character. He also loses 2 swords in the process. So, I'm interested to see how he regains... And, are his new swords gonna, not break into a million pieces?
Who knows?
But some good stuff here. I think it's extended enough, where in the anime I'm sure this took a lot longer, but they spend enough time here. I think in the live action, it has enough moments in it, and of course it ends. You feel pretty confident as an audience member, even if you don't know the anime, that Zoro is going to survive. But for me, I was wondering how is he going to get out of this? How is he going to survive?
Exactly.
And it's basically because Mihawk let him survive, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, he let him. And it's funny because that's my next one up too, Jackie. So I said Don Krieg, and then, the next one up is Zoro versus Mihawk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, we agree on that. Number 3 for me is Luffy versus Garp at the very end.
That's so funny. That's also my 3.
Yeah, so I really like this. I think Garp's kind of chasing him the whole show, and that's something that was kind of unique to the live action, right? They kind of injected Garp much earlier than in the anime. And so this is kind of supposed to be the climax of that season long. Garp is on his heels. They finally catch up, and now it's like, let's see if the old man, can take down the young
what he's doing.
buck. And it's like, Luffy still has a lot to learn, and Garp is a bona fide, guy. He knows what he's doing. Okay, he can throw hands. Luffy can, do his little gum slingshot thing that he's trying to do, but Garp, will just clothesline him and handle him fairly easily.
It does a very good job of, I think, explaining from, we talked about father figures. It's like, Garp is not a good father figure, ultimately. He is sort of crass, harsh. This is his, you think you're ready for this? Fine. We're going to do this? Fine. I'm taking the gloves off. Do you think this is how I would have treated you if you weren't my grandson? And do you think that you would have gotten out of this? And the only thing that stops Garp from finishing everything off is what happens to every single character when they meet Luffy and he is in the face of his own demise, and what Luffy does every single time, which is he laughs, he smiles, and he says, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and you get that one flash to where he becomes Gold Roger for a second.
Gold Roger
first. Yeah. And
then
then
it's flashback to Garp's.
Correct, And then Garp is like, he's got that dog in him.
He's got, Yeah. And this is what I plugged it early in the show, talking about dreams and inherited will. Okay, Zeph said it. Garp sees it. There's a bit of this Gold Roger character that's Luffy reminds people of, and Gold Roger was the former pirate king. If somebody were to be the next pirate king, one would probably elicit the dreams and the will of the previous pirate king. If we were to keep the theming of the show consistent, I think that's kind of where we'd be headed.
Yeah, so he's got like the right mental tools and attitude that basically is the same thing that they saw. Like if Luffy is, a college prospect, they're all like, oh, this guy has Tom Brady arm talent and, he can escape the pocket like a young, Donovan McNabb. They're drawing all these comparisons. They're like, this guy maybe has the tools to get it done in the big leagues. He reminds me of those guys.
He's got the stuff.
Yeah, he's got the right stuff. All right, Luffy versus Garp at number 3. My number 2 came up in your demerits, so I don't know if this is on your list at all, but my number 2 is actually the Usopp Forest thing. I didn't have any of the context of what was missing from an anime perspective, so just in the pure watching
just doesn't really make.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's, I have to say the first time that I watched through, I missed the setup of this guy being able to basically spit bullets like that. So the first time I saw this, I was like, where did that come from? And then I rewatched it. I was like, okay, they did set this up earlier a little bit. Pieces that I liked about this. Number 1, to this point, Usopp hasn't really done anything to prove himself. In the 4th episode, when Luffy is fighting the Catman, he's kind of just Usopp is kind of just hiding with the others, with the the girl that he's with, and with Nami. They're all kind of hiding and just letting Luffy handle business. So when we get here, his first instinct is to run away. He is taking L after L, running through the forest. He gets hit with a couple, like he pops up and he's like, you can do it. Pops up with a slingshot. And, immediately kind of takes one. And then for a second, for me, I was like, oh, did he actually get hit? Because he's got what appears to be blood all over his chest. It's like, no. He apparently had a large bottle of hot sauce, which, again, I didn't really see that set up. So I was like, where did he get that hot sauce? But I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was a nice moment for him to get kind of his first win. And then I was kind of surprised that when he went and talked about everything that happened at Along Park, that he felt the need to embellish as such, because I thought that maybe, he had done enough. He could have actually just told a story about what he did, and it would have been enough. But, it is what it is. I assume that Tyler had to take an emergency bathroom break because he is missing from my picture now. He must have hated that Usopp Forest scene so much that he felt the need to go and, just do anything else. He's over there. He's reading his mail. He's probably going and, looking online at places to eat pretty soon. It's getting close to dinner time. Anything but talk about this Usopp Forest scene. But I really want to know what Tyler's number 2 is, and I hope that he comes back soon. I hope that. Oh, Tyler, what are we going to do? You think you can just leave the podcast? You think you can just escape the frame? You think you can just leave me hanging? Just, leave this massive gap while we're talking about the top 5 fights? Doesn't seem right to me. Hey, Uncle Enzo. Tyler's not doing a pod anymore. He left. He just left. He didn't say nothing. He just left the podcast. He's out of the frame. Can you edit this part out? No, I need you to edit it out later because he's gone. He's missing, I'm telling you. He's not in the podcast anymore.
No, I'm in the podcast, but
you're back.
sometimes you have to go and grab something, Jackie.
Oh, what have you got cooking here?
Enzo texted me, and he said, hey, did you check on the gravy? And I had to go check on the gravy because I have not been stirring it while we're doing the podcast.
You turn up the heat too high on it. That's the problem. So you got to stir it more when the heat's on that high. Okay?
The heat's on the low end of medium, Jackie. That's the perfect way to do it.
Speaking of the heat, Tyler, I want you to heat it up with your number 2 fight.
Oh, my number 2 fight? Jackie, my number 2 fight. You know who it's got to be? You know who it's got to be, Jackie.
Tell me.
We already did it. I did my
We
Don
already did
Krieg. We already did That one we already did. Oh, we already did. We already did Luffy versus Arlong.
Are you on your number one?
I'm on my number one.
What's your number
I
one?
have so many in common with you, Jackie.
I bet we have the same number one, but go ahead.
Is it the Zoro Sanji versus Karubi?
Indeed, it is.
For you?
Yeah. I just have it as Zoro and Sanji at Arlong Park. Everything that they're doing there, they kind of.
It's the wire work. Yeah. It's the combination material they do.
It's Sanji going French on people. All of a sudden,
you gotta name your moves.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden the fishman goes into the pool, and it's like, oh, this adds like a significant problem for us here. He's much better in the water. See.
Yeah. I wish they touched on that more too, though, because there's like a whole fishman karate thing where fishman karate is more effective underwater than it is.
I did enjoy that he announced that he was going to use his fishman karate, though.
You've got to.
That was very kung fu coded, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it's like not only am I going to take you down, but this is how I'm going to do it with my fishman karate. It's like, oh. How's that different from normal karate? Oh, he's swimming. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, in the water.
It is different.
It's way different.
And yeah, you had they have the verbal sparring that they're doing while they're kind of, trying to work together to get it done. And they do a pretty good job. I also want to mention that Buggy immediately bugs out, finds his body and he's split. Now, Tyler, explain to me, though, explain to me why he wouldn't have been able to move his body independent of his head. His body's like hanging on the wall over there. Why couldn't he have just moved the body toward the head?
So, like when he's in proximity to his body, it's a little bit different. But if he's fully separated in the way that he was, like, because when he gets close, you notice his head like scuttles and then like magnets to his body, right? Yeah. But ultimately, his feet need to be, I think, if I remember correctly, the way that Buggy explains it is that his feet need to be touching the ground.
Yeah.
And then he has
he
full
was hung
control.
up, right? Was hung up.
And if you notice, he is on top of two swords, so it's like his feet aren't touching the ground. Gotcha. But then the moment that his head is, like, he completes his body, if he's separate pieces, he can't maneuver the same way if he's not grounded. But the moment that he's all complete, he has more.
If they're gonna over-explain stuff, like that's the kind of thing that they should go into. Like, if the fishman's gonna say, "I'm gonna use my fishman karate on you," then Buggy should also say, "Hey, good thing my feet are on the ground. That way, I can, have complete autonomy over my body parts. Whereas if my feet weren't on the ground, I wouldn't have that control as such. Something like that."
I don't even think that comes up in the anime until like.
Yeah.
Way later, though.
It was like people were asking questions, and they're like, all right, we got to like come up with a rule or whatever, or else it's too unwieldy.
But I do think he says it like within the manga. It's not even like one of the question-answer sections of Jump Magazine.
Anything else to say about Zoro and Sanji?
No, I just love them.
Yeah, that was the best, definitely the best fight. Okay, let's go to our awards. Starting with our Strangers in the Night award for the best cameo or feature. So this is an actor that is not in the main cast that caught your eye. So who have you got in this slot?
So I kind of changed so actors are actors. Great. Cool. We're all interested in actors. There's a lot of new faces in this show. It's hard for me to find a person that I was aware of before, like that is known for something outside of this show. And Jackie may have one, but I thought it was more interesting to find cameos from characters that we don't know but will know later. So like anime characters like in the show that are featured like in the background as Easter eggs. In Arlong Park, the final episodes, there are bounty posters that are on the walls. And there are characters' names, 3 specific characters' names that are cameos, and that is Cavendish, Foxy, and Bellamy. All 3 of them are pirates that I hope we get enough live action material to meet. Because
All right.
Cavendish is interesting. Foxy is a novelty, but I love him. And Bellamy, I think, is... Bellamy will get next. Will get next season.
Okay.
But I didn't pick actors. I picked characters, and those were my strangers in the night.
So I go,
If
I'm
you
doing
had an
a
eye to catch
character
'em.
as well, and the way that I'm approaching this category for the most part, because there's not a lot of like cameos per se, but for me, this is just like almost the best bit part actor that comes in, shoots a couple of hoops, and then they're out. They're not in the main cast, but they're an important part of what we saw. And for me, in these episodes 5 through 8, it's Chef Zeph. So that's who I have in my award here. Chef Zeph. I think another way to look at this would be take any character out. How much does it negatively impact the show? I think if you don't have Chef Zeph in these episodes, it's the biggest negative impact. I think you take Nami's sister out, not as much of an impact. I think you take Nami's mother out, not as much of an impact. I think you take, some of the fishmen out, not as much of an impact. So Chef Zeph is my guy.
I like that.
Yeah. The Me and My Shadow Award for the best brothers, sisters, or companions, Tyler. I think I know where you're going with this.
You're going to know, because I have an affinity for one of these characters already. It's Kobe and Helmeppo, Jackie, for me. You thought I was going to say Zoro and Sanji, didn't you?
I did.
You thought I was going to say Zoro and Sanji. It's Kobe and Helmeppo, Jackie, and
that's
it's
a good
specifically
shout.
for
That's
one.
a good shout because in these episodes, it's the first time that they're really simpatico, right? They come together, and it kind of starts off when they're doing shots at the bar, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's a couple other things, like Kobe saves Helmeppo. There's a few other instances, but the bar scene is the one that I wanted to talk about. It took the words right out of my mouth. There's specifically a really fun line that I think it is just in the live action, and the remarking about how Kobe lets slip that Luffy is Garp's grandson. And, Helmeppo is like, oh, that's not what I expected you to say. And Kobe says, I should have known from the way they both love meat. And Helmeppo kind of goes, what? Mm-hmm. Like, loves meat? As in, like, oh, maybe that was like a tongue-in-cheek sexual sort of thing. Like, but it's so funny to me because, like, meat is brought up a lot in the anime. Niku is the word, and it's Luffy constantly asks for meat, and he doesn't really do it in the live action because he says meat once, but he's like, I smell butter, I smell meat. Him saying meat to me or any character in this is like an Easter egg. They're doing the thing where they're like constantly saying Niku over and over again. They're like chanted in the anime, and the fact that they were able to sort of westernize the idea or like have him remark on it in like a comedic way for a Western audience while maintaining the idea of like the meat sort of joke that I don't know if this was intentional, but for me it rang as if they were trying to do like the Niku joke, but also put in like sort of this definitely Western sexual connotative joke that they both sort of, even though I think personally, and Inaki does a really good job of this, and in the anime and the manga it's the same, Luffy is particularly like asexual. He doesn't go for the like they do it when Nami's getting dressed when they're in our previous episode they did the dinner with Naya, I think her name is, and they're all getting dressed in the nice clothes, and Nami's like, well, how do I look? And Luffy's like, you look like Nami. Yeah, that's kind of him. He like has no...
Yeah, he's just not on that wavelength.
He's just not on that wavelength at all, and I think it's funny that they sort of nod towards like sort of an innuendo but it's also cased in this trope of the meat joke that, I don't know, I like it. And I think, yeah, it's the start of their sort of journey together, which does grow, and they become, both Helmeppo and Kobe become very formidable Marines in their own right.
And it'll be interesting to see where that goes in season 2. For me, my Me and My Shadow award, I have kind of 2 main contenders. If I'm being more literal to the spirit of the award, it would be Nami and Nojiko, because they are the closest thing to actual sisters. I mean, they are sisters. They're adopted sisters, right? And I think especially, what I've said is kind of the best scene, or, the most emotional scene at least. It got, I think, to number 2 in my best stuff, but it's kind of the best acting. And a lot of that is Nami and Nojiko and having your sister kind of experience your greatest failure. So that whole thing there, I could make the case for them, but I could also make the case for Sanji and Zoro because of just introducing their dynamic and the fact that that is going to be an overarching dynamic in what's to come. So given that, I'll give it to Nami and Nojiko for now, because I don't think that we're going to see that dynamic play out again. I think we'll have a lot more Sanji and Zoro to talk about in the future.
It's going to be there forever. That's also kind of why I didn't do it. I was like, we're going to have a lot of opportunity to talk about Sanji and Zoro.
All right, let's go to Chairman of the Board. Who won this stretch of episodes?
So, I sort of have 2 in here, Jackie.
Okay.
I have an affinity for the villains. I think all of the villains do a very good job. You had Buggy as one of your chairman last week.
Yep.
And I think McKinley Belcher as All Long absolutely destroys the role. He is menacing, frightening, imposing, all of the things that All Long should be. He is those. He does a wonderful job of humanizing the sort of comedic laugh that Oda gives his villains. It's sha ha ha ha. It's like shark, but sha ha ha. And he does a very good job of subtly. He goes like ha, sha. It's a very he does so well, and if this other actor and this scene didn't exist in the show, I would be giving it to All Long. But the answer is Nami. It's Emily Rudd. She swings for the fences in a few scenes in the whole 8 episodes, but specifically the Luffy Help Me. It is, you said it before, I agree with you 100%. It is the best acting in the whole season. Specifically from her, Inaki gives a great volley back to her with the interaction that they have, and it is the most meaningful scene, I think, in the show so far. And Emily Rudd, again, if you're listening to this, you crushed it. There's no way that the series would be as impactful if you didn't.
I don't have much of a history with her.
Crush it.
I don't have much of a history with her at all. The only other thing that I've seen that she has played a part in is as a voice actor in the English dub of Delicious in Dungeon. That's the only other experience that I've had with her.
Is she really?
Period.
That's so great.
She's Marcel in the English dub of Delicious in Dungeon. So cool. I just would never have known that she had this in her tools, in her locker, as they say. The
emotion.
It was a coming out party for me of her capability, and I'm really interested to see where she goes, because I think after watching the 4 episodes, I wasn't down on Nami, but I just had no idea we would get to that particular place emotionally.
Oh, yeah.
And she is more than capable of delivering that. So I'm curious to see, who else in this cast? Is the cast at large, are they going to be able to match those types of moments as we go through and everybody, kind of goes on their various arcs? So I think that it was important for her, just the way that the series played out, and her being such a vital piece of where everything ended up in episodes 7 and 8. I think it's good that she won the episodes because she kind of needed to with what was required out of just the character arc. And the fact that she got there, and I agree, she's also my choice, my only choice. You know, I think she played it beautifully, and I think that she comes out on top. And if you go from episode 1 to episode 8 and follow her arc only, you know, you follow every character individually, you know, I think she might win out in the season at large at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I agree. She really brings it.
Right.
And Nami is a well-written, strong character, and it's incredible to see somebody do such justice to it, because down the line, she's still strong, and she's still capable the whole way through, and Emily Rudd's going to do a great job if we get the 12 seasons, if we get 4 seasons, if we get to 6. So
yeah. All right, Emily Rudd as Nami wins chairman of the board. Let's go to our rating now. Now that we've done the full season, this is our official rating out of 5 francs for season 1 of Netflix's live-action One Piece. Tyler.
Jackie, I'm biased, and I told myself if I would ever do like a half or like, it's going to be, 3.2 or something, I just round all the way up. I'm going to round up every single time. And while, I would put, if we were doing half points or whatever, it would probably be in the 3. But since I'm not doing that and we're being charitable, we're going to give it 4. 4 francs for me, slightly because of my bias. But I like the content of the show. The nitpicks I have about it ultimately come down to things that are different from the source material that I am attached to, and other very menial sort of things. I think if you were to watch this not knowing what was going on or having any idea of the intellectual property beforehand, this is something that a non-knower will watch, enjoy, and maybe come back to.
Sure.
Personally, I've watched it a few times only because of the fact that we're doing the podcast. I wanted to hear what it was like to listen to it with the Japanese voice actors, which is what my initial watch of the anime was. I wanted to hear their voices over the characters. Cool. This is not something I'm gonna turn on twice a year. I'm going to binge watch it every year. I'm going to keep up with it. I'm going to keep going. It's 4 francs. I want them to make more. But, folks, sneak peek, the anime is a 5 for me. So it's never going to be a 5, okay? And I don't know what to tell you. When the Wit Studios comes out, it's going to be a 6. So, who's to say? What are you going to give it, Jackie?
So you give it 4 out of 5. I'm kind of leaning the other way with the same exact kind of mental process. I'm going 3 for now, but I reserve the right to raise it to maybe as high as a 4.
I'll let you raise it, Jackie.
It just depends on what comes next for me, because I might look at season 1 really differently after I see season 2. And I reserve the right to go back and change this to a 4. For me, it's got to be a 3 for now, and the main reasons why are some of the things that I've talked about the last couple of weeks with how they...
The flashbacks.
Flashbacks are a big one, Tyler. And we'll see, maybe we'll just get significantly fewer flashbacks going forward. Maybe we'll get better flashbacks because now they have the added benefit of knowing that they are doing multiple seasons and they don't have to just kind of get it in the can and hope that they get picked up. So we'll see where that goes. But it's not just the flashbacks. It's also what I talked about with how they treated the fishmen overall. There's a couple of hang-ups that we've had, along the way as far as just, certain little choices. So for me, it's a really positive 3 out of 5. I think just like you said, it might be more towards a 3.5. But for me, it's got to kind of rise up to get to a 4. So 3 out of 5, and that's and that's as good of a 3 out of 5 as I'm going to give. I think that's Like, it feels kind of like a harsh grade, but for me, it's just got to rise a little bit to get to that level.
I don't think
4.
it's harsh. The only reason I didn't say 3 is because I told myself before we started this podcast, like as a whole, that if I ever put something at like a 3.1, that's a 4.
Yeah,
because
that's fair.
Because if I were to round down, people would think I hate everything.
Sure. But I think this is perfect because in aggregate, that means on average, we're giving it a 3.5 essentially between our two.
Yeah.
That seems about right to me.
Seems fair.
So next week, Tyler, we're staying on the One Piece train, okay?
Can't wait.
The season 2 is not going to be out yet, but we're still going to be talking One Piece because we're going to be doing a One Piece live action draft, okay? So it's got to be from live action. That's the only frame of reference I've got. But we're going to basically draft. It's almost like we're picking 2, pick up schoolyard kickball teams or something. It's like you pick one, I pick one, and we'll see who comes out with the better team.
I think that'll be great, Jackie. I can't wait to totally slaughter your team.
I mean, we'll let everybody else decide who's got the better team. But
the internet's going to pick me every single time. I have a vast knowledge of what these characters do after the live action, and they're going to side with me because I'm going to pick them based on feats that haven't happened
because
yet.
this is supposed to only be based on the live action and what's happened so far, okay? So that they're not doing it right if they choose you. They're only doing it right if they choose me.
Well, you know what the whole theme of this entire
Spoiler
anime
alert,
is about is
my
freedom.
number 1 overall pick, Mary.
Oh. The ship or the guy?
Yes. No.
You might win with that one, Jackie.
No, Mary will be as far away from my team as possible. That is...
if you pick the going Mary as one of them, I would actually probably win.
No. I mean, we'll get into rules. We'll probably spend 20 minutes going over the rules of the draft before the draft even commences.
Rule number 1, you can't pick Luffy.
You definitely can't pick a ship. Okay, unless it talks.
Not allowed to pick a ship.
If it talks, Tyler, it didn't talk in the live action series. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you can't base it off of what you know about the future.
It's not even that the Mary talks. I mean.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to talk about it. So I'm gonna talk. It's gonna talk about fairies and stuff. We don't need to talk about it.
All right, folks. That's it for us. Thank you for listening to the Brother Sinatra podcast. I'm Jack Sinatra.
And I'm Tyler Sinatra.
And we're the Brother Sinatra.